Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
So have you been seeing the videos of the Teslas after the hurricane?
Oh, yeah. Smoke them if you got them.
You know, there isn't a car that's out there that if it's in a flood, that is the same afterwards, right? I mean, we all have had that experience since you and I live in North Dakota.
So it's funny because I live in Grand Forks, 97.
Yes.
And I was just having a conversation with a used car dealer friend of mine this week about, okay, so what's your inventory look like now? Because no pun intended, the market will be flooded with flood cars.
Yeah.
That happens every time there's something. And usually they don't make their way this far north. We live up in North Dakota, but they usually don't get this far north, but they've been showing up occasionally as people have gotten more connected. Because you buy a lot of vehicles online for a lot. So that was a topic of conversation. But going back to 97, we had a catastrophic flood in Grand Forks, North Dakota, where I grew up. And General Motors came in, and our big Chevrolet dealership, Chevrolet GMC Cadillac dealership, they did not have a lot of flooding. They had water maybe a couple inches up on the tires.
Yep.
So nothing submerged.
Right.
GM's like, those are all gone. They came in with trucks, transport trucks, cleaned out their lot, new, used, everything. They did not want one of their dealers being associated with anything flood related.
Wow.
And boy, did you get some good deals, because they gave really good deals after that.
Wow. Interesting. Well, so the new electric cars, this flooded
the new matchsticks.
Yeah, I mean, first of all,
but the difference is there's a big difference between salt water versus fresh water, right, as well.
Right. But I mean, even where we live, I mean, the running joke all the time was, don't buy a car from Minnesota because they salt their roads differently than they'll rust out, and they rust out. Now that's not as big an issue anymore because there are a lot of cars that don't have much metal on them anymore. But you can still see them. I mean, you can always tell the difference between an older North Dakota-based car and a Minnesota car because of that rust scenario.
So I used to live in Michigan.
Yeah.
And Michigan's even worse than Minnesota. They salt the crap out of the roads. Ironically, the rustiest vehicles I ever saw, so I spent a lot of time in the Newport Balboa area in California, and you get that fog rolling in.
Yeah.
That fog is salty. You want to see rusted cars? Go somewhere near the coast with an ocean that's foggy a lot. They have rusted vehicles. Yeah. They have extremely rusted vehicles.
So I wonder, so this is really interesting to me because, and what we're getting to, everybody, is that some of the Teslas, and I'm sure there's other electric vehicles, but Tesla always makes the news when it comes to electric vehicles, of course.
Big name.
And some of them just basically caught on fire and blew up because salt water and lithium don't mix very well. So people who had to leave their homes quickly in Florida or whatever during this last hurricane didn't get their cars out, and as a result, or the water came up further than anybody expected, and these cars are sitting in garages and exploding.
Well, and that's one of the things the fire departments and public safety has been trying to get out there. So in a flood situation, tidal surge, hurricane, where the storm surge is what really inundates a lot of people. They're like, we don't care what you do with it, get it out of your structure, because we can't put the fire out.
Right.
If we can get to it, we can't put the fire out.
The challenge is many fire departments across the country don't have the equipment needed to put out these fires.
So you're going to lose your structure. You're going to lose the house.
Yes. But you just brought up a very interesting thing to me, because I actually was on the road in California and around a Tesla when it went. And this thing, I mean, the fire department's backed up from it. It kind of exploded.
It's kind of a bomb.
And then it exploded even more. And I'm just like watching this thing and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Did they know what triggered it?
And well, that's kind of where I'm going with this. If you're getting this fog that is salty, like you're talking about, like I can't imagine in the San Francisco area, this isn't a problem then too. I mean, because there's a lot of fog that rolls in that area and all along the California coast. And of course, California is huge with Tesla cars. So that's really interesting to me. And I just wonder if there's been any correlation yet, or even in Minnesota, right? You own a car, you own a Tesla, and you're in Minneapolis, and you're driving on these salty roads. If at some time, if the car catches fire or whatever, is this due to the fact that you have salty moisture getting into that lithium battery? This is interesting to me.
That's extremely interesting.
Even more so than just this, because you can see in a flood situation where this would be a significant thing. But what happens in these insignificant day-to-day things that you would experience driving around? And is this why these cars are blowing up or catching on fire just driving down the road? So
interesting.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, the fog part's scary because fog it's air. It's just mist.
Well, yeah, it
gets
gets
into
everything. Just as bad as, it's not as quick as just having your car submerged in a flood.
Right.
But it's still there. I've driven through fog, and I'm sure you have too, like, sub-freezing temperatures, and then you pull into the gas station, and you're like, your car antenna, back when we had the whips on our cars, right, would be almost folded over.
Oh, yeah.
The star design that starts to appear on your car tires, I used to take pictures of those things, actually, because the geometric designs that these things would form would be amazing. Right. And you'd have 4 or 5 inches of that stuff built up on your tires and stuff, so it can accumulate fast. And I can't imagine that there isn't something going on there.
Think about California, though, for a minute, because you kind of, they've got all the mandates where you have to have electric vehicles by so and so. So they're mandating you have to have a bomb in your garage.
I think 2030 is the mandate right now.
Yeah.
So I think they're attempting, the car manufacturers are saying,
they got to be addressing this.
We can't make that. In fact, we're slowing down production of electric vehicles because we can't sell them anymore. They've already kind of reached their peak and they're falling back a little bit. So these car manufacturers are that we're getting into the business are actually backing away from the business right now. There will be a place for electric vehicles. I like electric cars. So
I do too.
This is not a thing saying that
where it's practical.
Yeah, it just has to be if you're driving around town, that's one thing. If you're unable to charge it, and I've told my horror stories about charging these cars.
It's like a golf cart. Would you rather have an electric or a gas powered golf cart?
Yeah,
I'd rather have an electric one
every time.
But it depends on what the application is.
That's correct, and that's where the challenge is with this. And we will talk more about this when we come back from the break. I guess we have a little time left here, don't we?
We do.
And are we done now?
Kind of cool to point out the fact that it's 3 weeks in a row we're actually together.
Wow.
Welcome back to the Tech Ranch. Let's get back to discovering the latest in technology with the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
So if you're just joining us, we are talking about electric cars and the impact that the current hurricane had on them in Florida. We watched, if you've watched anything at all, although I don't know how much it made the news because there's been so much.
There's been a lot of it.
Oh my goodness, there's so much news right now.
Now, a lot of that with Helene was overshadowing because it wasn't Florida necessarily.
Yeah, Florida disappeared from the newsmaker space as far as the hurricane went.
A lot of it's like somebody's car catching up.
Big deal.
Big deal.
The whole town just disappeared in the mountains.
Asheville, North Carolina. I almost moved there once.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Atlanta underwater.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the town, Mountain something or another. I've seen footage of this town. It was just a quaint mountain town, and there is nothing left.
Now it's in the valley.
There is nothing left of this town. It is gone, including the road. Gone. It looks like it's just a dry riverbed now. It's insane. So, Yeah, and they're still, I mean, I'm sure that we're going to hear stories for years well, maybe not years, but people who live up in the hills that haven't been able to get out. I was watching footage of somebody who was walking out. Maybe you've seen this too. And, just walking out's been challenging because they would come across like walking down a road and then there's a 40-foot drop off in the road and it goes for 3 miles in both directions. How do you walk around this?
Yeah, and if you're stranded up in the mountains and, winter's starting to get into the mountain areas, I hope you have a Tesla to.
Yeah, there you go. Yes. Yeah. Oh, there you go. You could roast your marshmallows.
There's always a positive.
But we were just talking about this, and we watched these cars burn up in the salt water. They were flooded, and then they catch on fire. And there's a lot of them that probably didn't. But what are the odds of those cars now? People go out and use them. Will they be? I think in my head that they're going to be significantly more prone to catching on fire now after they've been in salt water for a while.
So the thing you got to remember, and this is part of the reason there's kind of the interest in electric vehicles is falling back a little bit. There's no, and some of the dealers are pulling back. There's no secondary market for them.
Right.
So if you plan on buying an electric vehicle, there's not a resale value because, okay, you drive it for 9 years and then you're going to sell it to somebody who knows they're going to have to put a new battery in it?
Yeah.
No. So that's part of the problem. Would you buy something that was used in the first place as an electric vehicle? I would not. Second of all, knowing that, well, this could have been around some water or salt water or not happening. It's so, again, a double whammy on the lack of a secondary market. So there's no used car sales when it comes to electric vehicles. That's the problem with electric vehicles.
So I'm just reading up real quick on, because the theory that Steve and I were just passing in passing in the last break was that does fog coming off of the ocean that has salt in it, because you said you've lived in this type of environment before.
And you ought to see some of those rusted out buckets.
So nothing like in the Minnesota or Michigan.
Much worse.
Unbelievable when I think about it. I've never seen that before. And then does that impact electric vehicles as well? Well, some people are commenting that this has actually been discussed. So you and I are not the first person discussing this. Road de-icing methods and their effects on vehicle corrosion, why some states use road salt and others do not. I think, we live in North Dakota. We don't use as much road salt here. We use a lot more sand. I guess you would know better than I. I've always thought that North Dakota does a pretty good job with
It's a mix.
It's a little bit of a mix. Yeah.
Well, and there's actually a pre-treat that North Dakota uses.
Okay.
That it's beet juice.
Do they use that everywhere now?
Yeah. So when you drive, when there's a storm coming or an ice situation coming, but it only works down to certain temperatures. But if you see those little lines in the lanes, that's beet juice. So the roads are pre-treated. And then that means you don't need as much salt or as much sand because there's a combination of, there's a little salt in North Dakota. But they pre-treat the roads. Now, it's funny, when I lived in Michigan, they were experimenting with some pre-treating there, except they weren't using beet juice. They were using cow manure. So on all these test sections of road, people are driving and they're like, why is my car brown?
No.
Yes, they were because the thought process was it's an organic compound, and as it breaks down, it generates heat.
No.
So they were experimenting with cow manure, liquefied cow manure.
They did stop.
They did.
Right?
They did stop.
Goodness.
But that went on for like 3-4 years.
The car wash industry was loving every minute of this.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Beet juice, huh?
Yeah, beet juice is.
So interesting with those beets. I'm telling you right now. I mean, they
sugar beets.
They create nitric oxide in your body when you eat them, and now they de-ice our road.
But the chemical components of the beet juice and it breaking down, and it lowers the temperature for when it freezes.
Kind of like what salt does.
But when it gets below, I think it's 10 or 15 degrees, then it doesn't work.
I see. Okay.
I think it's 10.
anyway, there's people that are talking about, have you taken one of these batteries apart? It's not like exposed like in a regular car. I mean, there's a whole thing of metal, a metal plate that protects it underneath, and then of course it's wrapped up in a bunch of other stuff. So it's challenging to get to, but there has to be some point of connection to that battery to charge it and discharge so that you use it for. So that would, to me, would be where.
Yeah, you can't make it completely impervious.
Yeah, so otherwise it doesn't work.
You can't charge it.
Right. So I would have to say that maybe there's some truth or some thoughts to this as far as these EVs maybe catching on fire in areas more prone to salt fog or salting of the roads. But it would be interesting to find out. And, I'd imagine that there's probably some stats out there about how many cars, the percentage of cars of Teslas, for example, that catch fire in Minnesota as compared to North Dakota, because you can't even compare the numbers. We have 28 cars in North Dakota that are electric. Where Minnesota, I'm sure, has
we have more than
88,000. At one time,
I know a club with like 30-some people in it.
Not that long ago, just a couple of years ago, there was just 28 electric cars in North Dakota. Isn't that crazy that I know that number? But you're right, it's significantly higher now. I'm starting to see Teslas on the road all the time around here.
I actually saw a Tesla truck.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I seen the Cybertruck running around here, too.
I giggled.
Yeah. I don't like it. What do you think of it?
Do they have all their fingers? Just so it ran a truck.
It reminds me of like Mad Max and Thunderdome or something. That's what it reminds me of when I see this thing rolling around town. Where is Mad Max at?
Logan's Run or something.
Oh, yeah,
sci-fi.
there you go. It could be used for those maybe in the future.
And we're back. Don't miss a minute of the Tech Ranch as we explore the cutting edge of tech with Marlo and Steve. For more exclusive content, visit thetechranch.com.
So are you ready for my rant of the day?
You have a rant?
I do have a rant.
Okay.
And it's based on AI created images and politics.
Uh-oh.
So
are you going to be like all the ladies out there that are like, oh my gosh, Vance has got such pretty eyes. They're so blue.
Not going there, but
were they AI created? Yeah. Is that the question?
So I seen this image on social media of Trump and another person wading through the floodwaters of, is it Helene? Is that how they're pronounced?
Yeah.
The hurricane. And there were a couple people, the person that posted it said this side will go through, will post anything to get elected type of thing, right? And then there's somebody else that said, no, this is real. And I will say, and I'm not taking sides here, but I'm irked about this because this is the thing. Don't just assume that it's that side that's putting these pictures out there. AI created images. I've seen plenty from that are showing Trump, for example. I don't see as much from the other side. I don't know why that is. Maybe I don't know. I guess I have my own theories there, but these images are not coming from the Trump organization, everybody. They're not coming from there. If they're AI generated, I'm telling you right now, and I think the same is true on the other side as well. I mean, I think they've experimented a little bit on the other side. I remember some people imposed into a gathering on the Kamala side at one time, but they're not really using this stuff. So if you see AI generated images, they're probably coming from people like you and I. They think it's creative or cute or whatever, and they post it out there. And then people just assume that they're coming from the organizations themselves. Please stop assuming that. It's driving me nuts. Don't just post a photo and assume that, oh my goodness, these people will go through everything to get elected. That is not the case here. People, you and I, everybody has the opportunity to create fake images now, and they're flooding. And when I say flooding, they are flooding social media. It's crazy. There are 60 countries that are holding elections right now in 2024, and AI has already invaded almost all of them. And it's you and I that are doing it. It's not the campaigns.
Well, we said that was going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yes. I mean, here, I'm just reading this one little article here. False stories about Kamala Harris, anti-immigration messages from far-right parties in Europe, and deep-faked personalized get out the vote videos are just the beginning. And these are just you and I, people like you and me that have an idea about how they could post this. And a lot of it, I think, is if you're not in favor of Trump, you're hoping that people will grab this image and put it out there because they want you to think that this is an AI image created by the organization. And the same is true on the Kamala side. They're doing the exact same thing on that side. Please stop feeding into this stuff. It's crazy. My inbox or my social media feeds are full of these crazy AI-generated images. Please stop sharing them. Is that a rant or not?
So that would be if an image pops up of Marlo with a full head of hair, I should just ignore it.
That's correct. But I'm not running for office, but still ignore the photo.
Ignore the photo.
Did I ever tell you this story? This is before AI was a thing. And I forget what I was getting interviewed for. They wanted a photo of me, and it was for some major news story, or, you know, in my world of National Day calendar, I guess you can't call it major news stories, but fun news story, right? About me and whatever. And they wanted a picture of me working at a computer. And somebody took a picture, and I was just like kiddingly said, my goodness, I didn't realize I had that big of a bald spot. Please do not send this to anybody without fixing the bald spot first. And the next thing I know,
Ron Popeil is in the studio.
The next time I see that photo, it's the exact same photo, but one of our people here in the office put hair.
They took a Sharpie, and
I was laughing so hard. Oh my goodness!
So I've noticed that too, because I'm on television a lot.
Yes,
with political and other things with work, and I've noticed, that bald spot is just, it's getting.
Is it? Do you notice it because the reflection of the lights on you, and you're like, why do I have this special aura around me now?
No, that's
not it.
No,
oh, that's maybe
that's not it.
I thought maybe.
No, yeah. Nice try though.
Anyway, well, that's my rant, and I'm just asking people, please don't fall into this. Don't just assume.
But that's been the social media thing for a long time, because things on social media, you can't trust them anyway. And I remember somebody would, hey, repost a story or a photo, or you can't trust that. Even 5 years ago, you couldn't trust it. 10 years ago, you couldn't trust that. So do your own homework, do your own diligence.
That's exactly right.
Just because it's somewhere in print on social media does not mean it's factual.
I think that a person, you have to think about it this way, everybody. When you're sharing stuff, and I've fallen into this too, although not as often as maybe some of you have, but I have reposted stuff, and then I find out later it's not true. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I have discredited my own authority or reputation because I did that, right? And you have to think about that too. I mean, if you're reposting this stuff and somebody sees this and then they find out later it's not truthful, they're reading this or reposting it because you did. They're basing their reputation because they think your reputation is good. And when you start sharing stuff like that of somebody else's, and then you find out it's not truthful, it impacts you personally. So I'm just, I think it's a big deal about trust and reputation and all of this.
So when you're looking at protocols and trying to do the right thing, what's the rule of thumb? I mean, because for me, I've gotten to the point where it's like, it's on social media. Okay, that might be amusing. It might be funny, but I'm not giving any credibility to anything I read or anything I see.
I think there has to be, and I think they're working toward this. They just didn't get it done in time for this election. But if they can get it done, that'd be great. It's some type of verification tool. Like there'll be like a verified sign of some kind that goes on that story or that image is verified.
A blue check.
Yeah, something along those lines that can't be easily mimicked.
But who's verifying it?
Well, that's
the other part, because with AI, I don't know if I trust the verification process.
There is that. And do you trust the people who run the particular social media platform as well?
Not always.
Thanks for staying with us on the Tech Ranch. Let's rejoin Marlo and Steve as they guide us through the fascinating world of technology.
So let's see. We've been talking about exploding electric vehicles. I went on a whole rant the last segment. And again, I apologize, everybody. I don't mean to get so passionate about it.
No, it's kind of, I appreciated your passion.
So do you have other follow-up with that, though, as far as, the social media and how do you
sadly,
what you see?
I don't. I just
do you never trust anything?
No, because I no longer, and I think a lot of people fell into the trap of utilizing social media as that was my news source. It was on Twitter or now X, or it was on Facebook.
I actually believe it's still the most significant news source out there.
Great. Not for me. I don't trust it. It would be, I didn't trust it before. Now with AI, I trust it even less. So when something pops up, if I have to go on social media, I utilize it for entertainment. I don't utilize it for, oh my gosh, that's the news or what's going on in the world.
So when you see like I've seen some videos on TikTok of the missiles being fired from Iran into Israel a week ago or whatever it was, right? For the first time, I've seen those. So even that, do you all right, I'm going to see if this is real. And the truth is that yes, you should, because do you really know those missiles are being fired into Israel from Iran? You don't.
No.
It's the person saying that. And there's so many things I've watched on TikTok that they're just making this stuff up to get a reaction from people.
And the missiles might be real, but
yeah,
is it a test firing from somewhere else?
That's exactly right.
Is it a video from 8 years ago? Is it?
And how much don't know? Do you see that all the time?
You see it all the
videos, all the time. Yeah.
So and now with AI, you're seeing those old videos and they get reworked. So one of the things that, and I try to be diligent about that, if I do see something, it's and it pops up on social media and it does intrigue me or catches my interest, go back and look into the history of the story, because usually there'll be a timestamp in there and oh, well, that was from 22.
Right.
It's not today.
That's
it's just,
correct.
But the circulation cycle, it's just what's coming around. And there's a lag time with that.
So a few days ago in our local paper, there was an article about McDonald's introducing the Chicken Big Mac in the United States. I knew you're.
I thought you were going to say the McRib was coming back.
Yeah,
on, but
did you see the video of my testing of the Chicken Big Mac?
I did
in London.
You were not a fan.
Wasn't a fan. And
was it because it was a London or an English version of?
No, it was a.
Now, have you tried it here?
I haven't seen it available here yet. I've just seen the news story about
things in Europe or Mexico or
it can be different.
Asia.
Yes.
They can be very different.
But I did look at it before I bit into it, and it was exactly the same. I mean, everything was the Big Mac except for the chicken. So was that more believable to you, though, that was me biting into this Big Mac? Or did you ever think in your head that this could potentially be AI doing this?
No, I counted your hairs and it was you. I was pretty sure it was you.
That was a very bad haircut for me.
By the way, 3.
And they were all slicked back, not good.
Yeah, see, now you got a haircut.
I had quite a few people actually comment to me about what was up with your hair in that video.
Are you kidding?
No. I actually had a few people actually text me about it. They're like, are you something going on with your hair? What's going on with that? I just thought it was funny. And it was just, water shampoo. I forgot to bring my own shampoo over there. So I was using hotel shampoo, and you know what that can be like sometimes. So that's interesting that I think if a person that especially somebody who maybe doesn't have a huge following, and you're thinking, well, they don't know a lot about technology or whatever, might just post this video out there. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't have, or you, Steve, could have pulled that video down and did some AI to it and then post it back up there again. And then it's me eating this Big Mac saying, oh my goodness, this is terrible. When in fact, I actually said the exact opposite. So these things are possible and totally doable right now.
Well, again, that's why I do not trust any of that. It's for entertainment value only for me.
Which is what prompted you to send me a text saying, is that you doing the Big Mac thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Yeah.
You did ask me. I don't know if it was a text or if you asked me on Facebook or where you asked me, but yeah. So, wow. So what do you trust nowadays? This is the thing. You can't trust, it's tough to trust the media because everybody is so biased in the news nowadays. You can't trust what you see on social media. You certainly can't trust what you read about on any website, except for National Day Calendar, of course.
Well, of course. I think what has changed a lot is, all right, you know how there's 2-factor or 3-factor authentication now, and soon there'll be 4-factor authentication and 5 and 6. I think news and information has gotten that way as well. I don't trust one source. I don't go to Fox News or CNN or MSNBC solely. And we're kind of talking a little politics here, but I will take all the different sources that I can glean out and go, okay, somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Right.
So you can't, even mainstream media, you can't look at one source anymore because they've gotten away from just reporting facts in the news. There's a narrative involved, and people need to understand that there is a narrative associated to anything that you see or hear or read, whether it's on mainstream media or if it's on social media. It just doesn't matter anymore. Somewhere, people need to utilize critical thinking and put all the pieces together themselves and form their own opinion. And that own opinion needs to have multiple sources. So you can't just go to a single source anymore and go, well, that's what it is. No, it's not.
And it certainly is. Information is always in the, everybody's level of what they consider the truth is different too. I mean, I remember not that long ago, one of the things I would love to do, like if there was a presidential address or something like that, I would watch that, and then I would go to MSNBC, and then 5 or 10 minutes later, I'd switch over to Fox News, right? And I'm like, did they witness the same thing I just watched? Because neither one of them are even talking about what I thought I just witnessed. It was just like, is it even the same news event that they're talking about here? So it is truly a narrative that all these organizations have. But like you said, it's probably better, at least a little better than what you're going to find on a social media platform, because it just goes right back to what I just said there about that. So, be diligent, everybody, during the election season.
If you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
It's really scary when you're eaten by a lion. Yes. Yeah, you could scare the crap out of me.
You could do that. You could set a lion loose and have him jump at you. I mean, yeah, that would scare. But zoos and botanical gardens really went into the light industry. They're like, hey, we've got trees, we've got these landscapes pieces, we've got areas set aside that are our garden areas. How can we enhance that through a immersive lights experience? And it's really easy then to tie that into tie it into Christmas and tie it into the holidays and tie it into this experience. And there have been some really good standouts that have done this in years. We always hear about the Bellagio in Las Vegas and their big atrium that they do, and they do Christmas every year. And so you get a lot of that those Instagram moments. People down there, they'll take that in. Department stores have done this for years. Macy's and some of those big ones where they decorate their windows and it becomes almost like an unveiling every year of what the decorations are going to be at those windows, Rockefeller Center. So those are the big names, the kind of the icons that have done it. But now you have a lot of communities like ours and other smaller spaces that are really seeing that attraction model and going, we can really provide something unique for the community that creates a traditional experience. And it's something that people are going to look forward to and something that people can go and see multiple times.
That brings up an interesting topic about scalability, because you're looking at some of those big signature spaces, the Rockefeller's Plaza and Bellagio you mentioned. Pretty much limitless budgets.
Right, yeah.
Large spaces.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the scalability when you're applying that technology to a smaller space.
It all comes down to that that magic.
Because there's a price point.
There's a price point.
There's a balancing act.
There is a price point. There's a balancing act. But what doesn't have a price point is creating that magical moment. You can have, you can buy the biggest tree. You can throw everything at it. You can have, spend hundreds, millions of dollars in creating this spectacle experience that thousands of people are going to take on. But you can actually, as we scale that back, the core concept of creating that magical moment is still there.
So when you're talking about the scalability, it's are you really talking about, a signature? Because again, coming back to the budgets with the small community versus some of these larger benchmark pieces, now are you looking at that one incredible piece and then filling it in with a bunch of other things around that space? Or is there a way through the technology behind this methodology or methodologies to go out and fill up a space, but each one is either autonomous or they have their own nuance, their own charm, their own character? A lot of different ways to go.
Supertalk 1270.
Welcome to October 19th on the National Day calendar. Today we dive into the depths of a culinary delight and celebrate an ocean feast.
First on our plate is Seafood Bisque Day, a day to savor the rich, creamy indulgence that we all love. This smooth, seasoned soup often combines the finest catch of shellfish like lobster, crab, shrimp, and crawfish, blended into a velvet potion that warms the soul. Its origins are steeped in French culinary tradition, where bisque signifies a way to extract every bit of flavor from the catch of the day. So, today, it's a luxurious staple that marries the bounty of the sea with the art of cooking.
Seafood Bisque Day. Does it come with biscuits? And that's not what this means, is it?
No, but you can totally add that. And my favorite type of seafood bisque is lobster bisque. If made correctly, it is the most delicious soup you'll ever taste in life.
Do they put those little crackers over the top of them, though? Sometimes?
Yeah, you could totally do that.
Okay. And since we're already basking in the briny brilliance, let's not forget that October is National Seafood Month, the time to celebrate the gifts of the sea, which have been a vital source of nourishment and livelihood for cultures around the globe. This month encourages us to explore the vast array of seafood available to us, to learn more about sustainable seafood practices, and to appreciate the fishermen who brave the waters. From sea to table, it's a journey of flavor, tradition, and the careful balance of nature's resources.
Poisson, les poissons, how I love les poissons, love to chop and to serve.
Okay, so how are you celebrating Seafood Month? Are you totally indulging in your favorite catches?
Yeah, I mean, salmon, trout, cod, those sound amazing. I'm okay with shrimp too.
What about bass, sea bass?
That seems so random that she's just said that.
It's a delicious catch.
I've never had seafood bass, but I've had regular bass from freshwater.
Okay, you know what? We'll come back to that. It's
okay.
No worries. How about we go grab some lunch? Seafood, right?
That sounds amazing with tartar sauce.
Sounds good. I'm LaToya Johnson.
I'm Marlo Anderson.
Thank you for joining us on our journey to celebrate every day.
Until next time, keep celebrating.
This is Outdoor Issues with Neil Roberts and North Dakota Game and Fish outreach biologist Greg KLXX.
With fall underway, hunters need to be aware of potential fires in North Dakota and where they're hunting. I know, Greg, you serve also as a firefighter, and you've been busy lately with all sorts of stuff, including fires across the region. Bring us up to date.
That's right, Neil, and we need our hunters to be aware of quite a few different things. We're not able to close that hunting season. In fact, hunters act as another set of eyes and ears out there that can alert local authorities. It's not uncommon for us to experience either wet conditions in October or dry conditions in October. We've just had a really crazy year. There's a lot of our local communities that have hunters that are using the local restaurants, the hotels, the C-stores, and it's important to keep that relationship open in North Dakota. You know, and moisture conditions typically vary across state. Just the other day I was out hunting pheasants and a nice layer of frost on the ground, and I wasn't afraid to pull my pickup off the road into, I wouldn't say tall grass, but just pull it off the road and be able to park that there. But just be aware of all those fire conditions, and one thing to do is to stay up to date, you know, on the Game and Fish Department website or the NorthDakotaResponse.gov keeps you updated on those fire conditions.
Good stuff, Greg. Hey, we'll have more on hunting when we come back.
It's NAHL hockey at its finest. The Minot Minotauros hit the ice for another big season. They host their big rival, the Bismarck Bobcats, on Thursday, October 24th and Saturday, October 26th. The Toros play in Minot's Mesa Arena, ranked the third best rink in the state. Tickets available online or at the door. Special packages are also available. Please check our website for other upcoming home dates. It's Minot Minotauros hockey. Charge ahead.
From small game rifles to personal protection, Hunter Firearms has it all. Voted #1 gun store in North Dakota, Hunter Firearms has over 1,700 guns at great prices. Benelli, Colt, Kimber, Springfield, plus knives, ammo, and reloading supplies. With a knowledgeable staff providing one-on-one service. Buy, sell, trade. Hunter Firearms in Stanley, off the 4-lane of Highway 2, 45 minutes west of Minot. Monday through Saturday, 10 till 6. HunterFirearmsLLC.com.
Talking hunting today and being respectful out there. And Greg, there's lots to consider, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure and close those gates, pick up your shells, don't leave any garbage. Just be respectful of the landowners and don't do anything that your mom wouldn't do.
All right, good stuff, Greg. And hey, that brings this report to a close. If you missed one, check us on the website, OutdoorIssues.com. Until next time, I'm Neil Roberts.
You've been listening to Outdoor Issues, brought to you in part by the Minot Minotauros, by Hunter Firearms, Stanley, North Dakota. And enjoy a home-cooked meal at Homesteaders in Minot.
KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck, a Town Square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union Studio.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. Former President Trump and Vice President Harris focusing on swing states. 17 days from Election Day, former President Trump will be in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Vice President Harris in Atlanta later. Right now, she's in Detroit discussing the week's major geopolitical event, Israel killing Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader who plotted the October 7th attacks.
This creates an opening that I believe we must take full advantage of to dedicate ourselves to ending this war and bringing the hostages home.
Hezbollah launched drones into northern Israel from Lebanon, one of them targeting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's personal residence. He calls it an assassination attempt on him and his wife. They were not there at the time. The union representing 33,000 striking Boeing machinists says Boeing's latest contract offer is worth their consideration. It'll be put up for a vote next week. This is ABC News. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration announced Friday it's going to investigate the full self-driving mode in about 2.4 million Tesla vehicles after reports of accidents in low visibility conditions. In Cleveland, it's induction day at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The class of 2024 includes Cher, Kool and the Gang, Peter Frampton, the Dave Matthews Band, whose founder and lead singer said he remembers during a childhood guitar lesson when another inductee was playing a concert downstairs.
One day I was waiting for my mom to pick me up, and and they started bringing all these little crates on wheels. I didn't know what they were, cases. I didn't know what they were called, and they're bringing them all in. And then I looked on one of them, and it said foreigner.
Ceremony streams live at 7 p.m. Eastern on Disney+. Across the street, the New York Yankees can reach their first World Series since 2009. They lead the Cleveland Guardians 3-1 in the American League Championship Series. I'm Brian Clark, ABC News.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/day to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/day for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military.
Supertalk 1270, Bismarck area weather.
With weather, I'm Corey Hartman. Sunny today, a high near 63. Winds will gust over 20 out of the southwest. For tonight, mostly clear, a little breezy, a low of 43. Sunshine, 74 on Sunday, 74 and mostly sunny Monday. Slight chance of a shower Tuesday with a high of 57. If you're looking for a new place to live, stay, work, or play, check out Worthington, Minnesota. It's worth a look.
It's 51 at our studios.
From ABC Sports, I'm Joey Wara. College football right now. Third quarter scores. Miami up 24-17 at Louisville. Clemson a 24-10 lead on Virginia. Indiana all over Nebraska 28-7. Auburn a 10-3 edge at Missouri. Army busting East Carolina 31-zip. Wisconsin a 14-3 edge at Northwestern. UCLA in front 21-16 at Rutgers. And Cincinnati with a 24-7 bulge on Arizona State. American League Championship Series last night. Guardians come from 4 down, tying into the 8th, but the Yankees win 8-6 for a 3-1 series lead. Giancarlo Stanton continues his hot postseason with a 3-run homer from manager Aaron Boone.
Are you at all at this point in what he does in the postseason?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, again, that's Cade Smith, too. Like, it ain't easy to do that. 2 strikes and where he got the pitch to it.
Game 5 tonight. NLCS Mets stay alive, routing the Dodgers 12-6, moving within 3-2 that series. Pete Alonso a first inning 3-run shot. Starling Marte 4 hits, 3 doubles, 3 ribbies. New York manager Carlos Mendoza turning to a Sean Manaea in Game 6 back in L.A.
Yeah, I mean, Sean said it the other day. We ask a lot of these guys, and we're facing a good team, man. You got to give those guys credit. That's a deep lineup. That's a good lineup.
Series resumes tomorrow night. Last night's WNBA Finals and another drama-filled tight one. Lynx survived the Liberty 82-80, tying that series 2-2. Nikisha Collier helping hold Breanna Stewart to 11 points on 5 for 21 shooting.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean, I think that we're both great players, and it was game 4, and we played each other, 4 times in the regular season. It's going to get harder and harder each time.
And Game 5 tomorrow night. NHL second period, Senators 2, Lightning 1.
Prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Meet Brian. He just got $5,000, and it was pretty easy. I'll tell you how in 10 seconds. Brian needed cash help. After being rejected by banks, he tried 27cash.com. Told them how much he needed, even let them know he had bad credit. In minutes, 27cash.com found a lender who deposited $5,000 into his bank account the very next day. If you need cash help, even if you have bad credit, go to 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Offer not valid in all states or prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We need cash help.
We should go to 57cash.com.
With our bad credit?
57cash.com helps all credit types. They partner with over 100 lenders to help even people with bad credit get approved for up to $10,000. And cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
Wow. When you need cash help, go to 57cash.com. 57cash.com.
Talk of the Town with Steve Bakken. Weekday mornings starting at 9 on Super Talk 1270 and the free Super Talk 1270 mobile app.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
And welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody. Steve has left, but I might say that I have a better person in the studio. Somebody who used to be on the show a lot, Mr. Nick Ressler, who is retired, kind of, at least from all of this stuff. So how you been?
Pretty good.
Yeah. I know that you do a lot of honor guard stuff and a lot of volunteering around town now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Keeps me pretty busy.
Yeah. When did you have time to do that before, when you were actually working?
I didn't.
But you did a lot anyway.
Yeah, with the parade and Buggies and Blues and things like that. But I wasn't on the honor guard.
Right.
They always asked me, and I told them when I retire, I'll join. So the day I retired, they showed up here with the uniform. That's been over 5 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Yeah. And I was just thinking, I mean, the Tech Ranch has been on the air for 11 and a half years. And so you weren't on the first one, because I remember being crazy nervous, but I think you were probably on the third or the fourth one. And I don't know, how many hundreds of Tech Ranches do you think you've been on over the years?
Don't know.
It's been a lot. I mean, you take 11 times 52, that's almost 600 shows.
Yeah.
And I'd say in the first 4 or 5 years anyway, you were on a significant number of those.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, it's good to have you back.
Yep, it's good to be back.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the hurricane situation and what this means about cars. Now, I know that might not sound like a technological thing, but Nick has a significant background in the automobile industry. And of course, you've probably been seeing how EVs, electric vehicles, and saltwater, they just don't mix very well because of the lithium that's in them. So I'm going to guess, Nick, that, you know, where we're at in the upper Midwest, are we going to see flooded cars that are going to start showing up in the marketplace here? Or how is that all going to work, do you think?
Well, that's probably a situation that could happen because a lot of these vehicles are completely submerged and they'll get pulled out, and most cases, the insurance company will total them and they'll go to a salvage yard. And ideally, when that happens, they should be crushed or junked out.
Okay.
But some people with those scruples, you know,
right?
They see a quick way to make a buck, and it's all about money. And if they can snag some of these vehicles and they aren't too bad, and then they'll kind of clean them up a little bit, and then they'll take them out of that market, because those people down there will be gun shy.
Right.
And unexpected people up north see a good deal on a fairly new car, and they'll bite on it. And they end up with a car that's going to have some major problems down the road.
So I know that, you know, the first thing that everybody asks you, and I hear this too, is that, well, so what? I'm just going to go on Carfax, right, and find out about the car. But that's not always true, is it?
You know, I did some research since we talked about this with Carfax, which I didn't know. Carfax has 151,000 sources of vehicles to record VIN numbers, that everywhere from the fire department to police department.
Wow.
To insurance companies, auto body shops, and that. And they have in their database 31 billion vehicles.
That's amazing.
Totally amazing.
Holy cow.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, you think about that. I think that, I mean, there's more vehicles than people in the United States. So you could say that, I think it's between like 550 million to 600 million vehicles. And considering that there's 350 million people in the country, and, you know, there's a lot of people that are under 18 years old, a lot of people in big cities that don't own cars, but a lot of company own cars and things, you know. So So yeah, that's a lot of cars. So they obviously keep track of things worldwide.
Mostly Canada and the USA.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And so when a car gets damaged and the insurance company files a claim on it, they file it with Carfax.
I see. So they have, I just want to go back to this number for a little bit. That's a big number then if it's U.S. and Canada. So they go back a long ways.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, these aren't just like in the last 5 or 10 years. They have records that go back a long ways here.
It started in 1984.
Okay. So this makes sense now.
Oh, yeah. And, a lot of times these vehicles, they'll show up and people don't check, the background of them and that. They just think they're getting a good deal. And I always tell them there's certain things you look for if you're thinking that the vehicle was in a water situation.
Well, and isn't this something you should just always do anyway? I mean, you might not even be thinking that the car came from Florida or some other place, right? So I think isn't it just a good thing to check? Because this is what you're going to tell me is pretty easy to check, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what is it?
You mean as far as Carfax?
Yeah. Well, as far as testing if the car has been in water.
Oh, well, first thing you do if you're going to buy a car, try to find the history of the car.
Okay.
And the best source is who bought it to start with. Is it a 1 owner, 2, 3, 4 owner? And progressive down the line, who had a problem with it? A fairly new car probably is, some of those are program cars.
Right.
Leases and that.
Yep.
And it's real easy to check the background on those.
So you can find out if it was in Florida, for example. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So you find out then it's come from Florida or Georgia or New York or someplace that might have had some weather.
North Carolina.
Yep. So then what?
Well, after you did your checking, you want to look at the vehicle itself. And I found out over the years is the under the seats of the vehicle, the springs and the wires that run there, they aren't too well coated.
Okay.
And if it's been in extreme moisture, odds are you're going to start to see some rust.
So would you just like reach under and
get under there with a flashlight, look,
and just look,
go under there. And the other thing to look for is in the trunk.
Okay.
If a vehicle has been undercoated on the outside,
right,
and then on the inside there's carpet in that, and they usually spray that colored paint on it.
Yep.
Moisture still gets in there, and you look at the seams, and if you see rust starting in the seams, that's a good indicator that probably been exposed to.
Now, there are a lot of cars, of course, that have, there's not as much metal on them as there used to be. Is that better for being in a water situation, or are there, and we're just going to run out of time, so we'll continue this after the break, but these are questions that we're going to get to. So is it better if it's not a vehicle that has a lot of metal in it, and are there some cars that survive like hurricanes better than others? So we'll talk about that after the break.
Thanks for staying with us on the Tech Ranch. Let's rejoin Marlo and Steve as they guide us through the fascinating world of technology.
Welcome back, everybody. Nick Ressler is in the house for the Tech Ranch. Longtime friend of the program. Probably hasn't been on for a year or two, though. So it's great to have him back on the show. He is an automotive expert, and your expertise really lies in body work.
Auto body and painting.
Yeah. So
more so painting.
So you're great to be talking about this situation that I think we're probably going to see here pretty shortly with some vehicles that are going to be coming into the upper Midwest because they want to move these vehicles out of the flood areas of the current hurricanes and try to offload them up here. So anyway, so we were just talking, and if you're just joining us, you can catch us on the podcast or whatever for the earlier parts of this conversation. But Nick, so we were just talking about, some of these newer cars now don't have as much metal on them, right? I mean, they're basically plastic of some kind or carbon fiber or whatever. Do they survive this weather? Like if they were submerged in water for a period of time, are they better? Are they worse than a typical metal made car? Or
well, the thing of it is, what you got to think about is when the car gets submerged, most of the newer vehicles are galvanized.
Okay.
And they're coated. And you're not so worried about like the floor pan of a vehicle that's in the flood. What you're worried about is the electrical that gets in there. Now, all the electrical wires are coated, so there's no problem there. It's where they connect.
Okay.
The connectors at some point there's going to be a place that can get exposed. And any kind of rust or things that go on in there, in some of your relays and your signal devices will start to rust, and you'll see weird things. Step on the brake and the windshield wipers come on. Because it shorts out. And you go, what is going on with my car?
So you're saying basically that if, you could buy a car, let's say 6 or 8 months after it's been in water, and then 2 years later, let's say you pick up a 2023 Tesla, okay? 2 years later, you step on the brakes, and all of a sudden the windshield wipers start activating, because this is like a ticking time bomb, isn't it? It just will continue to rust and corrode and all this stuff. Okay. So finding the history is really important. And I mean, is it possible, like in a Carfax situation, that it wouldn't be reported that it was in a flood?
Well, the scenario would be that if I owned a car and I had insurance on it, and let's say my insurance lapsed, or I didn't put insurance on it because I wasn't using it, I parked it.
Okay.
And now it got flooded. And I decide I'm going to dump this car. Well, Carfax doesn't know that it's been in a flood.
Right.
So I sell it off, or maybe you got a huge fleet of vehicles, and the fleet owner of the vehicles couldn't afford to insure all these cars, so he just got liability on it.
Okay.
He's not going to put a claim on it because that's liability. It won't be covered.
Gotcha.
So these vehicles could end up being shipped out and sold, and you go to Carfax, and odds are there won't be the car VIN number might show up, but it's not going to show the history, So, like, say, if you file a claim and the car has been in a flood, then when you go to Carfax, it's going to show that the insurance company paid that claim and that it was water damage.
And it's Carfax, Carfax, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and is there a fee, like for you and I to go check like a VIN number or something?
I guess I didn't look at that. I think to check a VIN number, you just put it in, and then I think they try to upsell you.
I see.
But if you Google it, it'll tell you that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there an opportunity? So if, let's say I do settle for insurance, I have a 2024 Tesla. I don't mean to pick on Teslas, but there's a reason, and I'll get to it in a little bit. And I get and they total the car. I get my insurance check. Is there like a time frame? I mean, is there like a 2-week window where it wouldn't be reported to Carfax, for example, because there's paperwork that has to be processed and things too? So you could actually settle with the insurance company, hurry up and get it on the market, sell it to somebody for half its value or something, and then walk away from it. I mean, is that possible?
Well, it depends on the claim. If the insurance company, in most cases, if these are submerged in water, completely submerged, they're totaled.
Right.
So your chances of buying that car back are zero.
I see. So what you're saying is that if they came back and said that we'll give you $3,000 for the car because the wheels were submerged and there's going to be some, we got to replace the brake stuff, right? The discs and things like that. Okay. Interesting. So let's get to Tesla and other EVs, and I shouldn't just put Tesla out there, but everybody knows Teslas, right?
Yeah.
And but other companies, of course, like Kia and Subaru and some of these other vehicles have EVs that are out there now, electric vehicles. And lithium and salt water do not play well with each other either. So I'm going to guess it's possible that the car could be somewhat submerged. The battery sits pretty low on these cars, right? So you could have it in a foot of water, And the battery, some of the battery, or maybe 2 feet of water or whatever it is, right? Some of the battery could be in that salt water, but not the entire car. And then you come back and you look at it and you go, well, I guess it works okay, right?
Yeah.
But like I said, salt water and lithium do not go well together. And you've seen probably some of the footage of some of these houses that have burned down and businesses that have burned down because the car that's in the garage catches on fire or blows up or whatever.
Yeah.
I also believe that that's a ticking time bomb as well, because I think people who realize that are going to dump these cars because they've been sitting in water for a little bit and they don't want to deal with the 6 months or a year from now when that battery decides it's going to give way to that little bit of salt that got into it. So I don't know. I think if you're looking at buying a used EV and it's coming from an area that had hurricanes and stuff, I don't think I'd do that. I would just,
right.
Yeah, I think I'd stick to something that's a little closer if you're looking in the used market.
And if it wasn't turned into insurance for a claim,
exactly,
it's not going to be a record.
Right. So that is what's really scary about this. And I just think that there'll be a lot of that going on. I mean, areas in Florida, California, I mean, there are so many people that drive EVs in those areas because it's convenient. They have easy charging. They're only whipping around town a little bit. So it's very, very easy. So anyway, we'll continue the conversation after the break. We'll continue about what to do with flooded cars and whether you should buy them or not. Stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to The Tech Ranch, where technology comes alive. Let's dive back into the conversation with Marlo and Steve. And don't forget to check out thetechranch.com for more.
Welcome back, everybody. Mr. Nick Ressler, longtime friend of the Tech Ranch, is in studio. We've been talking about the hurricanes and potential cars coming to the Midwest. Are there any last thoughts you have on that, Nick?
Here's a side note. Remember Cash for Clunkers?
Oh, yeah. Isn't that still around?
Nah.
Oh, wait a minute. It was that was a program by the government, right? That they gave so much money to get rid of these older cars. Yeah.
And those cars all got scrapped. Carfax shows that there were 700,000 cars turned into that program.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And the reason they turn them into Carfax is because the salvage yards, some of these cars still ran.
I see.
And they didn't want them to resell them. So
right.
Once they were in Carfax, they had to be crushed.
Gotcha.
And they had to show proof that they were.
How much did they get per car? Do you remember what that was?
I don't. It was pretty good.
It wasn't a terrible deal. And I think if you had a vehicle lien on because didn't they come pick them up for you in the whole bit?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I guess
700,000 they get off.
Cleaned up a lot of yards, that's for sure.
Depending on who the politician was running, they got rid of the bumper stickers.
That's funny. That's funny. All right. Well, I know you have some other things you want to chat about. How's the computer world for you? Are you do you play as much on your computer anymore, or have you moved to your smartphone?
Actually, with the computer, I'm also in charge of the honor guard.
Right.
So I track everything. And I keep a database and I email out and use it for that. And then I play solitaire or free cell. Other than that, hey, look up stuff.
Yeah.
Smartphone, more and more. A tablet, less and less. I used to use an iPad quite a bit.
Well, it's because the phone is about as big as the tablet used to be, I can't believe that we carry these. I remember one time you and I talking about the size of these things and like, how are you supposed to carry this thing in your pocket or whatever? Now they just adjusted the clothes. The new jeans now have bigger pockets. Have you noticed this? Yeah. So that you can carry them in your back pocket now. I thought that was hilarious because I have older jeans that I love and I still wear them occasionally. And I'm like, why doesn't my phone fit back here? Yeah. It's because the new fashion has bigger pockets. So yeah, everybody's adjusting.
Yeah. And when you look at all the apps, the things that are available, and depending on what you want to use it for. But what I think was really God sent is the GPS.
Yeah.
When you're traveling.
Yeah.
Remember years ago when we have a Garmin? Most people.
Or maps.
Remember
maps?
Yeah. And you had to update it and all that. And now you just, hey, Google. tell me how to get to so-and-so, and it comes up.
I always talk about the amount. See, you said blog Google and activated Google. Look at that. Always listening.
I was talking on the phone to somebody, had him on speakerphone, or I was on my computer. And for some reason, on the computer, it said, it was telling me a shortcut.
Right.
And Google said, I can help you with that.
Yeah.
My phone picked it up.
Yep. I have that happen a lot too. And in fact, my phone actually was playing a tutorial about how to use Google and said blog Google.
Yeah.
And this playing on my phone. And then Google activates on my phone at the same time. I'm like, no. Don't listen to what's going on there. It was kind of hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
So, they're always listening. And we have more and more devices. I just ordered 4 more the other day. It was an Amazon Prime Day, but it was great Prime, or if you were great deals on Prime or something like that. So I ordered some of the new Alexas. I'm not sure if my mom listens to this program or not. So it's going to be a little bit of a surprise for her. She's going to get some upgraded equipment in her house now. So I got speaking of apps and stuff, right? So the ease of, like, she doesn't have like security around her house or anything like this. So I thought, having like a doorbell with a camera in it.
Yep.
This is not the Ring one, though. It was the Amazon Alexa version of Ring. And then I bought her the screen version of Alexa too. So now she can just, if somebody rings the doorbell, she'll be able to see right on that screen, right by where she sits down at, that who's at the door or whatever, which is, I think, and easy to set up and reasonable. I mean, the doorbell was like $22.
Yeah.
Crazy how reasonable that is.
How does it power?
So I think there is a battery in it.
Okay.
So I'm hoping there's a battery in it. It said wired and wireless. So I'm assuming that if you have a wired doorbell, which means that you have some power that goes to it, that you can utilize that. But wireless obviously means, at least I took it that way, that it could be battery operated as well. Yep. But I suppose it'll be interesting to see how often you have to change the battery in the thing.
One thing I found with the smartphone, and I bet the number would be astronomical. How many arguments or questions are settled? Hey, Google, who was that picture that...
It's already activating over here.
Yeah,
there you go.
I have lunch, my brother and a couple of friends at the senior center, and a day doesn't go by that question comes up, who won the Vikings game? Or
right.
How much did that quarterback get?
Yeah.
And you just pop it up, and there it is.
There's a couple guys in my coffee group. Yes, I'm old enough now, Nick. I have a coffee group. I cannot believe this. I'm still the young guy there, but I have joined a coffee group, and there's a couple of them in their 70s, and they're the first ones. They got their phone ready to go for anything that comes along. They're like immediately looking things up. What I have really noticed about that is I don't see as many couples fighting when we go out to dinner anymore either. In fact, they just sit there quietly now. I mean, what do you talk about when you can't say, hey, look what I found out today, and the other person can't even debate it because you can just look it up right away and find out if it's right or wrong, and that's it. Then what else do you talk about? It's a conversation stopper. Actually.
Yeah. Also, and this, you get young people together. If 4 of my grandsons and granddaughters get together, they're sitting there on their phone texting each other instead of talking to each other.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah. And then I know we're going to run out of time here again in this segment, but we'll have you back for the next one. AI, of course. Have you been playing with AI at all?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ChatGPT, is that your normal go-to or okay?
And then I think Microsoft came out with an app that goes on the browser.
Yep. So there's quite a few that are emerging, of course. Oh my goodness, I can't remember the Microsoft one. I just started playing with it too, but everybody talks about it all the time. So, it's something. So anyway, after the break, everybody, we will continue with Nick, and we'll get into AI a little bit and how he uses it.
Welcome back to the Tech Ranch. We're thrilled to have you with us as we continue exploring living with technology alongside Marlo and Steve.
And welcome back to the Tech Ranch, everybody. This is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson, and across from me in studio, Mr. Nick Wrestler. Did we ever have a nickname for you other than Scam Buster? You remember the days?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Scam Buster.
You have to.
All the scams.
So there's two stories before we get into AI that you need to share with people. And this one goes back probably 20 years now. But the Doofus McGinney and real estate story.
Oh, geez, that's been so long.
Do you remember most of it? Or?
Kind of.
All right.
Yeah.
So do your best.
Okay. We had an office in the Gallup front.
Heather, I think it was. Yeah. Yep.
And she says, we have a Doofus McGinney working here. And
which was my alter ego. Yeah. It's my alter ego online.
Yeah.
Yes.
And won't tell them about the post office.
Well, so it goes back to like the early 90s. And I realized right away that email was going to be used for spam a lot. So if I knew, and it wasn't even called spam at that time, but for marketing, right? And if I wanted to sign up for something and didn't want to use my real name, I had this made up alias of Doofus McGinney. And yeah, I mean, one day we went to the post office and and when I signed up, it was always our address for our business. And I went to the post office. Was that you that went to the post office, or was that me?
You.
Okay. Anyway, the postmaster said, "Hey, you guys got any new employees down there?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think so." Well, we're getting a lot of mail for Doofus McGinney, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's we have." So anyway, Doofus. Oh my goodness, you got credit card offers. Did he get like a penthouse subscription or some crazy thing too? I mean, this is a made up person and getting better mail than you and I got. So it was interesting.
One packet. Discounts on tools.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. So, and because of that, we started getting these phone calls for Doofus McGinney as well. And that's what leads to this story.
Yeah. So I told her, punch it back to me and answered it. And I says, hello. And he says, Mr. McGinney. And I couldn't resist it. I said, no, don't call me Mr. McGinney. Call me Doofus. And I had a tough time not laughing. He says, all right, Mr. Doofus. He says, "Are you interested in steaks or something?"
No, it was real estate.
Real estate.
Yeah.
And I said, "What kind of steaks?" And he went, "No, Mr. Doofus or Mr. McGinney." And I said, "I told you, call me Doofus." And that kind of riled him. And he said, "This is about real estate." And I said, "Well, what kind of steaks are they?" And I did that a couple of times. And finally he said, "Are you at all interested in this?" And I said, "No, I'm not really interested." He says, "Why not?" And I said, "Because I don't like steaks." And he went, oh, and he slammed on the phone. Now you got to picture this guy. He's sitting in a cubicle, and there's probably 4 others. And they look at him, what? And he said, "That had to be the dumbest person I ever talked to." What was his name? Doofus McGinney.
And to this day, it lives on as training material for all scam artists in the world, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah. That's
now
funny.
Speaking about scams, when you think about, here's what people have to realize: there's 2 things that'll motivate a scammer: fear and profit. So if they call you and they threaten you to be arrested or what, that's a fear factor.
Right.
Hang up on them.
Yep.
If they're calling you and tell you that you just won the European lottery, hang up on them. Just remember those 2 things: fear and profit. Somebody calls you and they're threatening you, or they're going to reward you. It's a scam.
One of the biggest things nowadays is speaking of AI, the ability to clone somebody's voice.
Oh yeah.
We have it here. I mean, Chris, I mean, we both Chris and I have AI voices. And in case I mispronounce a word when we're recording something in the studio for one of our shows or whatever, instead of having me go back in and re-record it, especially if I'm traveling or whatever, you can just use my AI voice to fix it. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
Yeah. And of course, we could even go further than that and actually probably have it do a whole script or whatever. It's not quite the same yet, but it's pretty close. And I'm sure we haven't trained it now for probably 6 months or a year, and I'm sure that it's significantly better. But this is the thing. So anybody can take a voice sample of anybody. So if you get a phone call and it's like, hey, grandpa, it's blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh my goodness, this sounds like my grandson or my granddaughter. And they can do a couple things. They can type it in real quick and it'll spit it out. Or there's voice modulators as well. So as you're saying it, there's somebody on the other side that could even have a different type of accent or whatever. It might be European, it might be Asian accent or whatever. But when they say those words, it comes out as the person that they're emulating. Isn't that crazy? So almost in real time, they can say, Grandpa, I'm in jail. And you think it's your grandson.
I'll tell you what happened to my wife.
Oh, okay.
Got a call, and the person said, this is police department, so-and-so, and we have your grandson here. He was pulled over for an open container. He was driving erratically. He had an open container. And she goes, what? And he says, you want to talk to him? And come on, Grandma, I need help. I need some money. And then she hung up. And she come out and she said, I just got the dumbest call. And she told me about it. And I said, well, first off, it's your grandson, they said, got pulled over. Your oldest grandson is 12. We don't have a grandson that drives.
Right.
Why didn't you hang up right away?
Right.
She said, well, it sounded so real.
Right. Yeah, imagine. And so probably the best thing that a family can do right now is to create a safe word. And whatever that word is, and you can just ask straight up.
Good idea.
And you just let everybody know. And I'm just looking at a light right now. So our safe word, Nick, and yours and my family is light. So when I ask you, if it's Heather, for example, right? I just Heather, what's our safe word? And if they don't answer that, you're just done.
Great idea.
Yeah. So
I put that out.
Yeah. So it's a great way to eliminate these calls that are emulating voices, and they sound so real.
Oh yeah.
And when you're in my age, I mean, you're talking about, that you have a little bit of a hearing issue. I mean, I'm older now too, and starting to have some hearing issues as well. It doesn't take much to fool us, into thinking that might be, especially if it's a bad connection on a phone or something. So yeah, I mean, these things are very, very possible. And your wife did the right thing. You just hang up on them. If it's important, they'll probably call back, and there's probably other ways nowadays to find out.
If you want to call back and call their parents.
Yeah. There's other ways to verify. Yeah. You can just simply call them.
Yeah.
You got their phone number, call your grandson or your granddaughter. Yeah. So we'll talk more about this after the break, everybody.
If you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology. The Tech Ranch.
Supertalk 1270.
This is Outdoor Issues with Neil Roberts and North Dakota Game and Fish outreach biologist Greg Gullickson.
With fall underway, hunters need to be aware of potential fires in North Dakota and where they're hunting. I know, Greg, you serve also as a firefighter, and you've been busy lately with all sorts of stuff, including fires across the region. Bring us up to date.
That's right, Neil, and we need our hunters to be aware of quite a few different things. We're not able to close that hunting season. In fact, hunters act as another set of eyes and ears out there that can alert local authorities. It's not uncommon for us to experience either wet conditions in October or dry conditions in October. We've just had a really crazy year. There's a lot of our local communities that have hunters that are using the local restaurants, the hotels, the CC stores. And it's important to keep that relationship open in North Dakota. And moisture conditions typically vary across state. Just the other day, I was out hunting pheasants and a nice layer of frost on the ground, and I wasn't afraid to pull my pickup off the road into, I wouldn't say tall grass, but just pull it off the road and be able to park that there. But just be aware of all those fire conditions. And one thing to do is to stay up to date, on the Game and Fish Department website or the NorthDakotaResponse.gov keeps you updated on those fire conditions.
Good stuff, Greg. Hey, we'll have more on hunting when we come back.
It's NAHL hockey at its finest. The Minot Minotaurs hit the ice for another big season. They host their big rival, the Bismarck Bobcats, on Thursday, October 24th and Saturday, October 26th. The Toros play in Minot's Mesa Arena, ranked the third best rink in the state. Tickets available online or at the door. Special packages are also available. Please check our website for other upcoming home dates. It's Minot Minotaurs hockey. Charge ahead.
From small game rifles to personal protection, Hunter Firearms has it all. Voted #1 gun store in North Dakota, Hunter Firearms has over 1,700 guns at great prices. Benelli, Colt, Kimber, Springfield, plus knives, ammo, and reloading supplies. With a knowledgeable staff providing one-on-one service. Buy, sell, trade. Hunter Firearms in Stanley, off the 4-lane of Highway 2, 45 minutes west of Minot. Monday through Saturday, 10 till 6. HunterFirearmsLLC.com.
Talking hunting today and being respectful out there. And Greg, there's lots to consider, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure and close those gates, pick up your shells, don't leave any garbage. Just be respectful of the landowners and don't do anything that your mom wouldn't do.
All right, good stuff, Greg. And hey, that brings this report to a close. If you missed one, check us on the website, OutdoorIssues.com. Until next time, I'm Neil Roberts.
You've been listening to Outdoor Issues, brought to you in part by the Minot Minotaurs, by Hunter Firearms, Stanley, North Dakota, and enjoy a home-cooked meal at Homesteaders in Minot.
From America's #1 travel radio show, this is your RM World Travel Minute. I'm Mary Carey. Thanks for joining me. Bigger isn't always better, but in the case of the new Kilolani Spa at the Grand Wailea Resort on Maui, it is. What does 50,000 square feet get you in Hawaii's largest wellness spa? How about a hydrotherapy garden with blue sky and palm tree views while you relax in contrast water therapy that includes steam and waterfall showers, a cold plunge, a saltwater ocean vitality pool, and more? Or how about a Hawaiian-infused signature spa treatment with tropical ingredients made with aloha from local farms? If that's not enough, experience a cutting-edge hydrofacial that includes pro LED light therapy or harmonic meditation, which I tried for the first time and could not believe how calm I felt after only 20 minutes. Kilolani is a world-class spa that revolves its treatments around the lunar calendar. It's authentically Hawaiian, ultra-luxurious, and cutting-edge. Hear our interview with the spa's senior director this Saturday from 10 to 12 p. Eastern on one of our affiliated stations or our website at rmworldtravel.com. Happy travels, everyone.
Lucille Ball is one of the reasons that we enjoy Star Trek today. Is that crazy or what?
Wow.
Yeah. If it wasn't for her, Star Trek would have died. It would never have made it. So
You knew I loved her.
yeah. So there you go. That's just one of those little unknown facts, I guess. Anyway, back to artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about.
So we were just showing beforehand, yeah, how if you're in a situation where somebody has fallen in front of you, you're at a car wreck scene or whatever it is, whether you need help yourself and you're able to converse with ChatGPT or artificial intelligence. I know we're picking on ChatGPT a lot today because of the new improvements. Upgrade. Yeah, the upgrade that they had, but others will follow real closely to this, I'm sure. And if you can have that conversation, and who knows? I mean, my guess is someday when you're in a car, your car will be able to talk to you just like we're talking to our devices right now, right?
Well, it's like OnStar or
all of that, right? AI will just be part of that, right? So I think that is coming, and it's coming pretty quickly. But this ability to have these life-saving technologies to talk you through it, like how do this person has the bone is sticking through their leg or whatever, well, that's a compound fracture. This is what you need to do to stabilize that person. I mean, these are the things that are possible without having to, search. Because right now people would do a Google search. Like, how do I, and then it comes up with 18,000 different choices. Do I use this one that's sponsored as a sponsored ad, or do here's one from the Mayo Clinic, but it's 18 things down. Do I trust that one, or whatever? And then you got to read through it and whatever. This thing here would give you voice prompts on what to do next. It's really, really impressive.
The question I've got is, and going back to the, okay, can you tell the mood, tone of the conversation? And there's a little danger here, but will AI get to the point where, because in a crisis situation, you're going to have an elevated heart rate. You're going to be not thinking clearly for a lot of people. You're going to be, paced up, faster heart rate and going, okay, what am I doing? Can ChatGPT manage that? Are they going to get to the point where they manage that and go, hey, calm down. I need you to do this, because tone,
right. It's like that proverbial slap in the face.
Yeah.
Like, get your act together right now type of thing, right?
Picturing Leslie Nielsen again.
Yeah.
But is it going to get to that point? Because here's the other danger in this is, and we see this all the time, something bad's happening, somebody needs help or something. What do people do? Whip out their cell phone,
right?
Video it.
Yes, exactly.
Instead of help somebody.
Right.
Okay, so are we going to get to the point where people go, oh, instead of calling 911, I need to call ChatGPT? Which, okay, in a crisis situation, time matters.
So
there's a balance here.
We are at a cuspus of something that we really haven't talked about a whole lot.
Right.
And that is that your device will become your personal assistant, your virtual personal assistant, whatever you. Yeah. But it kind of is like, right. So in a Marvel movie type of scenario, you could just, like Iron Man says, Jeeves or whatever, at any given time, you will be able to have this in your device as you're in, and you'll have, an earbud in or whatever.
It was way cooler.
Yes.
This is the Pet Minute. I'm Steve Dale. Listener Rhonda in Florida emails that her cat is urinating in the sink. My explanation next. Your dog loves going to the dog park and seeing his buddies. Maybe sometimes when you travel, he gets to hang out with friends at his favorite boarding facility. Social dogs like yours need more protection than most. By pairing Bordetella Protection, also known as kennel cough, with immunity against canine influenza, we can help ensure these dogs stay healthy. Merck Animal Health wants you to talk with your veterinarian about pairing up for protection with vaccines for your dog for kennel cough and the canine influenza virus. Don't wait, vaccinate. Listener Rhonda's cat is using the sink as her litter box. In general, when cats go in the sink, there's a medical explanation and or anxiety related to what's happening at litter box level. The sink is a good lookout. Perhaps other cats are competing for the box. Your first step, your veterinarian. For the Pet Minute, I'm Steve Dale.
KLXX AM, Mandan, Bismarck, a town square media station, broadcasting from the View Community Credit Union Studio.
ABC News, I'm Brian Clark. 17 days from Election Day, Vice President Kamala Harris visiting a Get Out the Vote event in Detroit.
We're going to go vote today. We're going to remind people to vote. We're going to register folks to vote. We're going to email, text, phone call, knock on doors.
She'll be in Atlanta later while former President Trump campaigns in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin told reporters at a G7 defense meeting in Italy the U.S. wants Israel to scale back strikes in Lebanon. He also noted a sharp decline in the amount of humanitarian aid entering Gaza. Meanwhile, Hezbollah launched drones from Lebanon into Israel. One of them targeted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's personal residence. He was not there, but called it an assassination attempt. And Boeing says the striking Boeing machinists say the latest offer is worth considering. They'll vote Wednesday. It could end the 5-week strike. This is ABC News. More than 7 years after two young girls, Libby German and Abby Williams, were killed hiking in Delphi, Indiana, the trial of Richard Allen, the man accused of their murders, is now underway. ABC's Alex Perez has more from Delphi.
In court, prosecutors saying that after the teens crossed that bridge, they noticed a man behind them. At 2:13 p.m., Libby recording on her phone, capturing video allegedly showing the suspect. The man, investigators say, pulling out a gun and ordering the girls down the hill, heard in this chilling audio. But the defense raising questions about DNA evidence and arguing cell phone records show Allen had left the area by 2:15 p.m.
Federal judge delayed an order requiring Google to open its Android app store to more competition. It's on hold until an appeals court decides the fate of the decision because of legal questions surrounding the verdict that called Google an illegal monopolist. I'm Brian Clark, ABC News.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/day to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/day for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military.
Supertalk 1270, Bismarck area weather.
With weather, I'm Corey Hartman. Sunny today, a high near 63. Winds will gust over 20 out of the southwest. For tonight, mostly clear, a little breezy, a low of 43. Sunshine, 74 on Sunday, 74 and mostly sunny Monday. Slight chance of a shower Tuesday with a high of 57. If you're looking for a new place to live, stay, work, or play, check out Worthington, Minnesota. It's worth a look. Right now, it's 55.
From ABC Sports, I'm Joey Waller. Right now, college football, fourth quarter scores. Miami a 45-38 lead at Louisville. Cam Ward, 4 touchdown passes. Clemson 41-17 over Virginia. Cade Klubnik, 2 touchdown throws. Phil Maffa, 2 TD runs. It's Indiana trying to remain unbeaten, and it looks like they will, 49-7. They lead Nebraska. Big Justice Ellison, 2 touchdown runs. Auburn, a 17-14 lead at Missouri. Army looking to remain undefeated. Busting East Carolina 45-20. Bryson Daly, a touchdown pass and 5 touchdown runs. UCLA up 35-25 at Rutgers. Cincinnati with a 24-14 lead on Arizona State. Wisconsin cruises at Northwestern 23-3. ALCS, Guardians come from 4 down, tying into the 8th, but the Yankees win 8-6 for a 3-1 series lead. Giancarlo Stanton continues his hot postseason with a 3-run homer.
Feels like nothing until we get it done. As far as I'm concerned, we haven't done nothing. We, enjoy this for now, but we got to get it done tomorrow and on to the next.
And Game 5 is tonight. NLCS Mets stay alive, rout the Dodgers 12-6, move within 3-2 that series. Pete Alonso, a first-inning 3-run homer. And manager Carlos Mendoza reacting.
We're capable of, putting together games like this, especially when 1 through 9, we're clicking, we're not chasing. And I thought today we did a really good job of their starter, where he was trying to get us to chase, and we didn't do that.
Loser Jack Flaherty allowing 8 runs in 3 innings. Rookie Andy Pages, 2 homers, 4 ribbies in the loss, and Game 6 there tomorrow night. NHL right now, they're in the 3rd. Senators 4, Lightning 3. Drake Batherson scoring twice. Second period, Red Wings at Nashville tied at 1. Joey Waller, ABC Sports.
Where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details. Meet Brian. He just got $5,000, and it was pretty easy. I'll tell you how in 10 seconds. Brian needed cash help. After being rejected by banks, he tried 27cash.com. Told them how much he needed, even let them know he had bad credit. In minutes, 27cash.com found a lender who deposited $5,000 into his bank account the very next day. If you need cash help, even if you have bad credit, go to 27cash.com. 27cash.com. Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We need cash help.
We should go to 57cash.com.
With our bad credit?
57cash.com helps all credit types. They partner with over 100 lenders to help even people with bad credit get approved for up to $10,000. And cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
Wow. When you need cash help, go to 57cash.com. 57cash.com.
Conservative talk without apology. The Regular Joe Show with Joe Gigante. Weekday evenings at 9 on Supertalk 1270 and the free Supertalk 1270 mobile app.
Portions of the following program are pre-recorded.
Welcome to the Tech Ranch, where we explore the world of living with technology. Get ready to take a deep dive into the latest gadgets, apps, and innovations with your hosts, the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson, and his trusty co-host, Steve Bakken. Join us on this exciting journey, and don't forget to visit thetechranch.com for even more exclusive content. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Marlo and Steve to the Tech Ranch.
And Nick Ressler is in the house. We were just talking about AI and, well, I guess somehow or another we got from AI to scams, but they kind of blended together because of that AI voice modulation and things. So again,
be a lot more.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, just make sure that in your family you create a safe word so that if you have an AI that's talking to you that might sound like your wife or your husband or your kids or your grandkids or whatever, just have a safe word that nobody else would know. Make sure that they don't share that safe word, and that way you can thwart these scammers when they call you. Now, when we were talking about this, Nick, it brought up another thing, in your mind. So, what is it? What is it that you've been seeing on like Facebook Reels?
On Facebook Reels, as you're paging through it, watching different videos, you'll get shortcuts on Windows that you probably didn't know. That's the intro.
Right. So you hit like your Alt, Control, and the F key.
Now, this will speed up your computer 10 times faster. Hold down the Windows key and hit F. And in the box, type in msconfig.
Okay.
And then it'll tell you through that.
Yep.
And there's just a ton of them. And, a couple of them, I go, oh, yeah, geez, that's pretty good. And I've done them, and they work.
Okay.
And I don't know, if it's making the computer any faster. A lot of things has to do with security. I can't believe how much data Microsoft, if you don't check the boxes, turn them off, that they're collecting.
Right.
And so Google too. And that's all in there. But there should be a place, I'm going to try to find it, where it would list all of them. Because when you're watching the video, it's really hard. They go by it so fast what to type in.
Well, they do that for a reason. So that you have to rewind and watch it again.
Oh, yeah.
They get paid for views.
Yeah.
And you have to remember that.
Yeah.
So they're creating these things. And you're like, oh, I can make my computer faster by doing this. Well, then they run through it so quickly that you actually have to. It's like it's the same thing with shampoo. Lather, rinse, and repeat. Yeah. That's what this is. This is the same marketing right here. They have a list of these shortcuts and they make videos from them, but they run through them quick enough that they're like, oh my goodness, that's a really good tip. I need to watch it again and again to get this. And that's what it's about. But it's generally good information, right? I mean, that's what you've found so far.
So, yeah. I mean, it hasn't harmed anything.
Right.
It seems to me that it's speeded up my PC.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, obviously you're watching some Facebook Reels. Is there anything in particular other than computer hacks?
I like the ones with, there's a construction worker.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
He's got a hard hat on. He's got really big eyes. And he goes he'll look over and go, oh, and then they'll show a guy running a wheelbarrow and he hits something and he flips over. Or he's walking on a beam and it crashes in.
Yep.
And then also the accidents and the police chases. Those are the ones I really like. It's
the wheelbarrow one just reminded me of a thing. I host another show that I don't think you even know called The Absurdists. And it's just like it sounds. And you need to be on this show with me sometime. It's so funny. Well, we did one on warning labels. And the wheelbarrow has some wheelbarrows have a warning label on them that it's not intended for highway use. And we're like, how in the world did this happen? Did somebody like put a trailer hitch on one and decided they're going to roll around with that? Did somebody roll down a hill with this thing? And can you imagine going down the interstate at 75 miles an hour and here's a wheelbarrow rolling down with you? And
yeah, there was one, this guy was following a motorcycle.
Okay. Not in a wheelbarrow.
Not in a wheelbarrow.
Okay.
And a motorcycle was clocking at about 130. And then this happened. A motorcycle passed him.
Oh, my goodness.
And left him in the dust. Whoa! And like, what? How fast was he gone?
Crazy.
Oh, my goodness.
We were in, this is what happens, by the way, everybody, when Nick and I haven't talked for a while. We're just catching up here. I hope that's okay. Alice and I were over in London and Paris here a few weeks ago, and we took the train from London to Paris underneath the English Channel, the Channel. And, when did they do that? 25 or 30 years ago that they drilled that thing out. And I've always wanted to do this. And I didn't realize that you could take high-speed rail to Paris through the Channel. Now, it does slow down to 60 to 70 miles an hour as you're going through the Channel, which is about 20 miles or so. But when you emerge on the other side, within a minute or so, you're doing 200 miles an hour.
200 on rail?
300. The train is capable of 350 kilometers an hour. You do the math, and it's over 200 miles an hour. I did one time we were doing 217. Isn't that crazy?
That's nuts.
It's crazy. And what's crazier is when you meet the train going the other way, because they're both about 15 cars long. If you meet a vehicle or anything going 200 miles an hour and you're doing 200 miles an hour, you better not even be blinking your eye, because it's gone again. It's just like, oh, and you're like, what the heck was that? And it's like trains are, they're only this far apart. I mean, you could reach out with your arm and touch the other one. That's insane.
That is insane.
So anyway, but amazing that you can travel by train from London to Paris in about 2 hours. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's easier than going on a plane and going over, So anyway, just a story about speed, since you brought one up, I have to figure out a way to top your stories, So, all right. The other scam one was the whistle story.
Oh,
you only got a minute and a half. So, okay. All right. So tell the whistle story.
To start with, Alice had this idea that when we get a call and somebody calls, we're going to tell them we work in a whistle factory. And we gathered several different whistles, a train whistle, a police whistle, I think a boat whistle.
Yep.
And and she come back, she says, okay, I got one on the line. And I picked it up and I says, hello. And he says, yeah, can I help you? He says, I want to fix your computer. You got a virus. And I says, okay, I'll have you help me. But you got to understand, I work in a whistle factory.
Because you're whistle inspector at the 14 or whatever, right?
I got to stop and inspect these whistles. And the guy didn't really say anything about it, and he started, now, okay, press F1. And then he started, I said, okay, I did. Oh, whoa. He said, what? And I said, I got to test this whistle. And I put the whistle right up there and I blew it. and he never fazed the guy. He didn't, you think he'd have caught on. And this went on for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, and I blew several whistles. And then I said to him, which whistle do you like? And he said, the second one. And I said, well, give me your address and I'll send you one of them. No, he says, you don't need to do that. I said, no, I want to do that. You're helping me fix my computer.
Anyway. And finish the story after the break, everybody.
And we're back with the Tech Ranch. Get ready for more amazing tech insights from the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we're back. Nick Ressler is re-sharing his story about the whistle factory. So go ahead.
Sounds like that's all we did around here was
scammers.
We
did a lot of that at the time. This was the scenario, everybody. I mean, because Nick was on the Tech Ranch so much, we figured that we would try to learn about these scams when they happen so that we could share them. But some hilarity ensued because of it too. And this whistle factory scenario was hilarious. And I know you had stated 4 or 5 minutes or whatever, but the goal was always to how long we could keep them on.
Yeah.
And that particular one, because we set it up, it was recorded. And I think Scott Wild was here too, right?
Scott.
Yeah, and he was helping recording. I was laughing so hard, Nick, I had to leave the room because I was afraid I was going to tip off the scammer, you know. But I remember, and you said you still have this on video, right?
Yeah.
So we'll find that and repost it again, everybody, on social media in the next day or two, so you can see this. But I remember how passionate you were about how excited you were about having this person on the phone because, oh my goodness, this computer has been acting up forever. I'm so glad that you, Microsoft, have called to help me fix this thing. But every time there was an opportunity to share a credit card number or whatever, there was a whistle that had to be tested. It was so funny. And that rail whistle was the best.
And the crazy part is that the guy, it didn't phase him. You know,
he kept going. Yeah.
I mean, just like he had one mission was to fix my computer, and he just kept going. And I'd tell him, okay, I did that and it didn't work. Well, try this, try this. And finally at the very end, he said,
well, he did ask for a credit card number on occasion too. Yes.
And I said, I don't want to do that. And he says, well, I at this point, I got to escalate you up to the higher. So I'm going to give you one of my higher level texts or something.
Yep.
He says, okay. And he'll call me. Yeah, he'll call you in a little while. And he never did call back. But I've got another one with email.
Okay.
I had a client that she had changed her internet service. And the other one, her email changed. So she wanted it set up. And I went up and piece of cake, put it in. And with that, her email, her internet client, for some reason, didn't work. So I said, I'll just Google it. And I Googled it, and it told me what to do. And I followed it, and it still didn't work. So I said, I'm going to call him. And she said, no, you don't want to call him. I said, why? She said, I spent an hour with them, and they don't talk English, and I don't understand them. I said, no, put them on speakerphone. I'll call them. So we call them, and this guy answers, and you could tell, he's foreign. And I'll try to imitate him a little bit. He says, hello, how may I help you? And I said, I told him the problem. He says, oh, yes, we can help you. And I said, by the way, this is Nick Wrestler. And he said, yes, Mike. And I said, no, it's Nick. And he goes, okay, Nick, here's what you do. And I did it. And I said, that didn't work. He says, Mike, can I put you on hold? I told you my name was Nick. Yeah, Mike. I said, fine, put me on hold. So he puts me on hold. He comes back. Try this. I tried it. It didn't work. He says, can I put you on hold, Mike? And I decided after that, I'm Mike. Go ahead, put me on hold. So he puts me on hold. He comes back, try this. And I tried it. It didn't work. And he says, can I put you on hold, Mike? I says, when you put me on hold, what are you doing? I'm talking to the highly trained technician. And I said, why don't you let me talk to the highly trained technician? Oh, no, I can't let you talk to the highly trained technician. And I said, fine. And I hung up. I said, get a Google email.
There was this, oh my goodness, this English TV show. I think you put me onto it. What the heck is the name of it?
IT.
Yes.
IT.
And those two crazy guys who worked in the basement, right? Remember the
thing when you called up, did you turn it off?
Yes, They actually had it recorded on this, like old reel-to-reel thing, so people would just play that thing.
But how many times have we done?
Oh my goodness. And we got stories we could tell you about that. But remember the episode with the robot? And they decided to take off work for the afternoon because there were so many shenanigans going on, and they go out and they ride the bus and they come back to work, and the one really geeky guy with the glasses and the hair looks, oh, there's a cute robot. He goes up there and it's defusing a bomb. and then the rest of them are way like a block away, and there's an officer trying to control the bomb or the robot that's not working, and they're like, well, we could probably help you. You know, what operating system is it? Windows Vista. We're all gonna die.
I remember that. That was a good program.
That was a good program.
That was a good series.
Yeah, I should watch that again. It's really funny if you're kind of geeky in that regard.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so back to whatever. I think we were talking about AI.
Yeah.
So how, other than scams, I mean, do you have other uses that you're using AI for?
Not at the present, but
So you haven't started talking to like ChatGPT or anything yet?
No.
Have you tried the new one?
No.
Oh, this is crazy. I'll just share it with you real quick here, since I have it open and ready to go, kind of. Hello, ChatGPT. I'm sitting here with Nick Ressler. We're on the Tech Ranch. Not getting the new one here, unfortunately. So,
is that a paid one?
Yeah, I think I pay the.
I think that's the pro version.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Start a new chat to use the advanced. Okay, so I'm going to start a new chat here. I see what's going on. Let's see. Here we go. See if we get the new version here. Here we go. Hello, ChatGPT. I'm sitting with Nick Ressler, and we're on the air on the Tech Ranch. You want to say hi to Nick?
Hey there, Nick. It's great to be on the Tech Ranch with you. What's the hot topic today?
Chat.
We're talking about you, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite the honor. I'm ready to answer any questions you've got. What would you like to know?
So how Nick and I are both, approaching that senior age. Can you give us maybe some tips on how senior or seasoned citizens can use you?
Absolutely. Here are some ways senior or seasoned citizens can make the most of ChatGPT. First, staying connected. I can help draft email.
ChatGPT, I have to bother you or interrupt you because we're at the end of the break. We'll be back in just a minute, everybody.
You've returned to the Tech Ranch, where technology is our passion. Let's jump back into the conversation with Marlo and Steve.
And we're back, everybody. Yes, that's ChatGPT talking to Nick and I. ChatGPT, you've been helping us over the break. What were you just talking to Nick about?
Everyone, welcome back. Nick and I were just discussing differences between the pro version and the regular one of a product or service. It's always good to know what extra features or benefits you might get.
So we're actually referring to you, ChatGPT. What's the difference between a paid version and the free version? For example, do I get this as I'm talking to you? Would somebody else get this same feature if they had a free version?
With the paid version, you typically get more features and benefits compared to the free version. For instance, with the paid version, you might experience 1. Faster response times, less waiting for replies. 2. Priority access to new features or updates before others. 3. Advanced features, like this voice conversation feature. In the free version, some features might be limited or unavailable. So, if you're enjoying this conversation, it's part of.
So ChatGPT, Nick is kind of a jokester, and he's told me a few Oli and Lena jokes in the past. Can you tell me an Oli and Lena joke in the Scandinavian accent?
Here's one for you. So Ollie and Lena were driving to town when they saw a sign that said, "Clean mess rooms." After 5 hours, Ollie says, "Lena, I think we cleaned enough restrooms. Maybe we should find that store now, yeah?
Thanks, ChatGPT. Nick, you got any questions for ChatGPT?
What's the cost difference?
The cost difference between the free and paid versions can vary depending on the plan or subscription. Usually, the paid version might be a monthly or yearly subscription, offering different tiers with various features. For exact pricing, it's best to check the provider's website for the most up-to-date information.
So I pay $20 a month for this version over the free version for ChatGPT. So
what's the difference between you and Microsoft's Copilot?
Great question, Nick. The key differences between me, ChatGPT, and Microsoft's Copilot are purpose and integration. Copilot is integrated into Microsoft 365, helping with tasks like writing emails, creating presentations, or analyzing data within that ecosystem. ChatGPT is a more general AI that can handle a wide range of questions and tasks across various topics. 2. Functionality. Copilot is designed to work seamlessly within Microsoft 365 apps, offering suggestions and assistance tailored to those specific tools. ChatGPT is more of a conversational AI, helping with diverse queries, creative writing, and general knowledge. 3. Contextual understanding. Both are good at understanding context, but Copilot is optimized for business and productivity tasks, while ChatGPT is more versatile in everyday conversation. So it depends on what you're looking to do.
All right. Any other questions for ChatGPT, Nick? All right. Thanks, ChatGPT. We're going to sign off now with you.
You're welcome, Marlo and Nick. It's been great chatting with you both. Feel free to reach out anytime. Take care.
Wonder how long before Google comes out with something like that.
So Google has Gemini. So if you go to gemini.google.com, if you have a Google account already, a Gmail account like most people do, you can actually just go to gemini.google.com and utilize it. Although you will find significant differences in those AIs as well. We were just talking about that in the office this week, and we found that, when we were working on different projects, it's like Gemini forgets things. You start talking about something, and 4 or 5 minutes later, it's forgotten what you originally were talking about, So it's really interesting that way. Getting back, this is really cool, Nick. Bring in ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, we're back on the Tech Ranch with Nick and Marlo here. So, hey, I want to, one of the things we're talking about with retired people is, when you're thinking about what to have for dinner some night or whatever. So I want you to, in my refrigerator, I have some milk, I have some eggs, I have some peppers, I have some cheese, cottage cheese, some bread, and some jalapeno peppers. What can I make with that? And it's thinking. Did you get all that, ChatGPT? I'm not sure if it's actually responding right now. So generally speaking, it would give me some ideas. Like I would be able to make an omelet, and then it would actually tell me how to make the omelet. So if you're ever wondering what you can make with what you have in your refrigerator, for example, it will actually give you ideas. I mean, that's just a cool thing. The other thing with it that I've really started to use a lot lately is right now I've been doing a lot of work around our house, right? And the last couple of days I've been working on the seals around our garages, right? Our garage doors. So I'll take a picture of this broken piece, plastic that's part of the seal. And then I'll ask it, how do I repair this? And it'll look at it and go, oh, this looks like a seal for your garage. And this is the type of part that you need to fix this. And then it'll show you or tell you the steps to repair it. It's crazy.
Oh.
If you don't know what kind of fruit is on a tree, you take a picture, put it in ChatGPT, it'll tell you what it is and when it's ready to eat, or if it's poisonous or not. Or you can take a picture of a snake and the same type of thing. If you're in a situation where you need to, this is life-saving technology, everybody. If you don't know how to do CPR, for example, and you come across somebody who looks like they're on the ground gasping for air and you need to do CPR, it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to administer CPR to somebody. If somebody's choking, how do you do abdominal thrust or the Heimlich maneuver? I mean, these are things that in an instant can help you when you're out there. That's why I don't even have a problem paying the $20 a month, Nick, because it's such a tool to have in your arsenal of things on your phone. And we'll be back.
Welcome back to the Tech Ranch. Let's get back to discovering the latest in technology with the guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we are back with the Tech Ranch, Nick Ressler. And we've had quite the conversation today, Nick. So it's been more fun with you than Steve. Steve and I think sometimes we hang out too much and we don't know what to talk about anymore. So this has been great. You're in a chili cook-off or something?
No, I just like chili.
Oh, well, okay. So we were just talking, of course, ChatGPT. So you have me curious here now. So I'm going to, hey, ChatGPT, Nick is looking to enter a chili cook-off, and he has a standard recipe that he likes to use. What kind of extra ingredients do you think might be really interesting for him to add in this chili cook-off so he can win it?
Awesome, Nick. Adding a unique twist to your chili could give you an edge. Here are some interesting ingredients to consider. 1. Dark chocolate or cocoa powder. Adds depth and richness to the chili. Coffee or espresso. Enhances the umami flavor and adds a subtle complexity. Smoked paprika or chipotle peppers. Brings a smoky flavor and a bit of heat. Bourbon or beer. Adds depth and a unique flavor profile. Unusual meats, like venison or bison, for a gamey taste. Trying out one or a combination of these could make your chili.
Thanks, ChatGPT. So there you go. The coffee thing. And what I love about that, right, is it tells you how it's going to bring out or enhance the flavors of what's in there already, right?
Yeah.
So,
and the two things I can't have.
Yeah, chocolate and coffee.
Way to go, chat.
But there you go. I mean, it's interesting.
Should chili have beans in it?
You want me to ask ChatGPT this? All right.
You know, most people say no.
All right,
Good
here we go.
chili does not have beans in it.
Waiting on Chat. All right, ChatGPT. Nick has a question for you.
Should chili have beans in it?
Some chili purists argue that traditional chili shouldn't have beans, focusing more on the meat and spices. However, beans are a common ingredient in many chili recipes, especially in certain regions. If you like beans in your chili, go ahead and...
So go ahead, Nick.
What type of beans should you add?
For a chili cook-off, you might want to consider using these types of beans. 1. Kidney beans. A classic choice, they hold their shape well and absorb flavors. 2. Black beans. They add a different texture and a bit of earthiness. 3. Pinto beans. Creamy and flavorful, they're a staple in many chili recipes. 4. Cannellini beans, also known as white kidney beans. They offer a mild flavor and a smooth texture. Mixing a...
All right, there we go. I guess we're just sharing this with you. No, we're not a cooking show right now. We are a technology show, but we're giving you examples of what you can use ChatGPT-4 or other AIs. I know this is what I have on my phone, but you can use Gemini or whatever on yours. And we were talking about over the break too, taking pictures of things, right? So you don't know. I'm just using this as an example. You're fixing something. You don't know how to fix a screen on a window, for example, right? You can take a picture of it, let ChatGPT look at it and say, hey, that's a screen. It looks like you have a hole in it. What would you like me to do with this information? And then you'll say, well, I'm looking to fix this. And it'll give you options on how you can go about fixing that screen. So you don't know what kind of grass you have in your yard and you're going to buy grass seed, take a picture of the grass and it'll tell you. Don't know if the berries that are growing on the ornamental bush in your yard of your brand new house, if you can eat them or not, it'll tell you this. Take a picture and it'll identify the fruit that's on there. So these are things that I think you can use in everyday life. So
wild.
Yeah. It goes on and on and on. I'm telling you right now, Nick, I have probably tripled my production at work here in 2 years because of AI. I mean, I don't even think anything about having to write a contract anymore. I mean, I don't even stress over it. I mean, it's like, back in the day, I had to write an NDA for something or an agreement on something or get an attorney involved. Those minor things, not that attorneys want to hear this, but I think most of them would rather do big work anyway. You can just have ChatGPT do these day-to-day things that you want. You're buying a house. We were talking about this last week or maybe this week with Steve and I. You can scan take pictures of the documents or if it's the PDF that you're sending over to you to buy a house, for example, and you can say, hey, pretend that you are me buying this house. What is in this contract that I need to be concerned about? And boom, 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 here you go.
Wow.
Here's some things. Here's, the warranty on this car that you're buying. It says 50,000 miles on everything, but not on the ignition system. It's only 12,000 on that, So these are the things that'll bring out to you that you'd never catch in 50 pages of legal documents, So this is why I think this is so good for people.
I use the phone a lot for photos.
Okay.
Working on something, take a picture of it. Especially like if you're taking something apart.
Yes.
You can put it back together.
Yeah.
Take pictures of it.
Do you use it like a magnifying glass sometimes too? Have you done this?
Oh, yeah.
This is a real easy trick, everybody.
Yeah, serial numbers.
Yep. Yep. Can't really see them.
Yep.
So then, and if they're wore off, have you done this too, where you can't, like some of the numbers are rubbed off a little bit or something, and you start playing with the filters on the phone, right? So the serial number at the very end, especially on those paper ones, they kind of get rubbed off a little bit. If you put a contrast filter on or something, all of a sudden those numbers come off the paper.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that's another thing. What else in the photos area? We got a minute left. So,
you just different things that mostly, if I'm working on something.
Okay.
If I'm going to go to the hardware store and get a certain screw, take a picture of it, or if my son's coming over from Bismarck.
Yep.
Hey, stop at Menards and get me a box of these.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
He's got the exact picture and everything. Walks in, I want a box of these,
There are so many shortcuts, right?
Oh, yeah.
That just makes your life so much easier. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Nick, it's been great.
Good.
You and I haven't had a conversation for 2 hours in a long time.
Yeah.
It's good that we were able to use the radio time for that, I guess. So, if you have any questions, anybody, just hop on to techranch.com and send us your questions and we'll try to answer them on the air. Nick, we're going to try to get that video up on the Tech Ranch's website too. Okay. And be looking for that, everybody. And until next time, Nick, it's been a pleasure. Stay safe, everybody. Stay away from those scams too.
And that's a wrap on another fantastic episode of the Tech Ranch. Remember, if you have any questions or want to suggest topics for future shows, visit thetechranch.com and send us your thoughts. You can also listen to past episodes and watch exclusive interviews not featured on the radio show. Be sure to follow Marlo and Steve on social media by clicking the links at thetechranch.com. Until next time, keep exploring the world of living with technology.